Hi students, this is lesson 4.1, and in this chapter we are going to be focusing on triangles. For lesson 4.1 we'll be classifying them. So by the end of this lesson you will be able to identify and classify triangles by side and by angle measure. So first let's focus on angle measure. Definitions that you can add to your vocab section. The acute triangle has 3 acute angles. The equiangular triangle has 3 congruent acute angles. The obtuse triangle has 1 obtuse angle. And the right triangle is defined by having 1 right angle. So, and let's cover this up here so we aren't giving anything away, but if you were asked first to classify each of these triangles, would you be able to do it? So just think first to yourself. All right, for this first one, if you noticed that the triangle has 3 acute angles that are not all equal, that's your indicator to know that it's an acute triangle. Over here, there's one key angle, I should say, that shares with us information that indicates what kind of triangle this will be, and that is that right angle, which makes it a right triangle. All right, and looking at example 2, and I'm kind of giving it away here with this stuff, so let's cover that up. What if we look at this triangle with 2 triangles smashed together and focus just on PQR? So PQR, the big part. Is that whole triangle going to be acute, equiangular, or obtuse, or even right? Well, I notice one of the angles is 45, one has 2 angles that we could add together to get their total sum, which right there tells me it has to be obtuse because this angle is obtuse. That angle is 45 plus 59, which is 104. All right, so now let's talk about sides and how sides help us define triangles. Equilateral triangle is defined by having 3 congruent sides. Isosceles triangles are defined by having 2 congruent sides, actually at least 2 congruent sides. So an equilateral triangle is actually a special kind of isosceles triangle. And scalene triangles are defined by having no congruent sides. All right, let's look at this fun Russian instrument next. So looking at that instrument, would you be able to define it as equilateral, isosceles, or scalene? Well, I see that I have 2 congruent sides, which tells us it is, you got it, isosceles. So I know this is review for most of you. And if that's the case, let's make sure you really have it down, because as we move forward, we're going to be using this to do much more challenging things. All right, now let's use that information. So for example 4, if M is the midpoint of JL, then we need to classify triangle JKM, so this big, or not the big triangle, sorry, JKM is this triangle over here, as either equilateral, isosceles, or scalene. All right, so if M is the midpoint, we know, and I should grab a pen for this, that if this whole length is 1.5, then each of these is going to be 0.75. And if these 2 are equal, if this one is 0.75, this one is also 0.75, which makes this triangle what kind of triangle? If you're thinking equilateral, you are right. Our final example is where we get to bring in some algebra. I know you've been dying to do that. So let's take this image and use the information given to find the measures of the sides of the isosceles triangle. Do you see an equation you can write here? Do you see something that's going to be equal to something else? Well, what do these 2 tick marks tell us? They tell us that those sides are equal. So we can set them equal to each other. And once we've done that, I know you are all pros at solving at this point. We can get all the x's to one side, so subtract 4x from both sides and end up with x equals, and add 0.5 to both sides. What does x equal? 1.5, but they want us to find the measures of each of the sides. So knowing that information, I won't take your time now to do that. We can plug things in and find that AC would give us, let's see, 4 times 1.5 plus 1 is 7. CB would give us, and CB is over here, actually the same thing since we know they're equal. We don't even have to do any math. And AB is going to be 9 times 1.5 minus 1, which is 12.5. So given that information, again, it's clear that this is an isosceles triangle.